Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. In this series, my goal is to show you how to win in Hoplite Civilization. Actually, I'm not going to show you. I'm a Hoplite noob, and I have no clue how to play this game. Instead, I'm teamed up with leekleek, who is a Civ leaderboarder and one of the best Civ players in Hoplite. So in this video, we're going to go back and forth in an educational interview discussing playstyle, Gamesense, kits and crafts, and then some personal questions about Leek's time on Hoplite. The interview is catered towards newer players getting into the game, but it's still cool to hear the game from a leaderboarder's perspective. Now, without further ado, let's get into the interview. All right, I hope you guys learned something from this interview and find Hoplite Civ easier to understand. So to start the interview, what is Hoplite Civilization? Like, what are the teams and what is your goal in the game?
Okay, so Hoplite Civilization, it's a game mode where you can queue up with a party of 3, but it can go up to teams of 9. And essentially you have 12 minutes to mine, and after you're done mining or gathering whatever resources you get, you have 1 minute to vote for a king.
All right, so I wanted to cover playstyle first. So my question for you is, after you're done gathering resources and voting for a king, as you just said, what is your goal in the game? Are you trying to gather kills? Are you trying to gain more resources while other people fight? Like, what is your playstyle?
Yeah, so for my playstyle, I play really aggressive. I snowball. So generally what I do at the start of the game, I play miner kit. I think snowballing itself is just really fun. It's more interactive than if you were to do like a different strat like fishing or mining all game.
Got it. And for people that don't really understand the lingo, what does snowballing mean?
Snowballing is you're going up with what you have at PvP and you're pretty much looking for kills to like increase your loot.
Sounds good, sounds good. And for a new player trying to emulate this strategy, would you recommend going to the Nether, or would you recommend something more new player friendly?
Recommend something more new player friendly. I think if you're gonna go Nether, I think you should learn how to make a Nether portal with 1 bucket, and I think you should learn how to loot bastions slash fortresses.
If I were to stay away from the Nether, what would you say is the strategy in the overworld?
I think if you're playing Civ, you should try to get books, get enchants, and try to find diamonds. Make sharp 2 diamond swords.
Yeah, so you said earlier in the interview that you have to vote for a king after 12 minutes of gathering resources. Could you elaborate on that? Like, what is that?
Okay, so the king is whoever gets voted, right? It's basically to playing with the whole civilization game mode, because the teams can be up to a team of 9. King is your leader of your civilization, supposed to lead you to victory.
Could you real quick describe to me what the voting system is in Civilization?
Yeah, so at PvP, a minute before PvP, there is a king election. And basically there's 4 different paths. There's offense that has a sharpness and power book. There's defense that has plus prop 1 books. There's farming that gives you plus 2 hearts and 2 gaps. And then there's mysticism that gives you 2 random books and an e-table if you're voted king. And king gets a crown and plus 5 hearts. Should vote defense and try to make prop 3 iron armor.
Got it, got it. And as a new player, I would think that farmer is the best strategy, since you need healing. Why is farmer not the best strategy in your opinion?
I think because defense books are really good and offense books are really strong. I think prioritizing your gear is a must, especially when you're trying to snowball. Healing is really important too, but there's other ways to get healing versus just voting farming.
Such as what for healing?
There's you can get gold from structures, from mining, from nether, and then for those of you who don't play 1.9, there is nether gold. So there's like gold in nether that you can mine that drop golden nuggets, and it stacks up pretty fast.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for the overview on your playstyle. So I remember you mentioned earlier that you go the miner kit. So do all 3 players go the miner kit, or is it more of a split?
It's more of a split. Generally, 1 person will go miner, someone will go looter, and then the 3rd person can go whatever kit they'd like. So generally between like archer, warrior, or another miner.
And if a viewer were to solo queue Civilization, what kit would you say they should go?
If they were to solo queue it, I'd recommend Archer. So Archer's really strong right now, and it's going to be hard to take on like 1v2s, 1v3s without a bow. So yeah, I'd recommend Archer.
Okay, sounds good. And what crafts are we going for in your snowballing strategy?
It's just kind of based on whatever I find early game. If I find like melons, I can make magma club. If I get scrap from nether, I can make light netherite. If I find the end, you can make dragon katana. It kind of just depends on what you find early, but generally I'm not really looking to rush a legendary. I'm just kind of working with what the game gives me.
Right. And as a new player that doesn't really know all the crafts, do you think a new player should try to go for, look through the book and just go for a craft, or are they better off just, enchanting and staying away from legendaries since they don't really know them yet?
I think you're better off enchanting, because if you try to force a legendary on Hoplite, only one legendary can be made per game. So if somebody beats you to it, you will end up wasting a bunch of time,
Got it. So you would recommend mining in the overworld and then getting stacked yourself through enchantment tables and then through voting and then just fighting whoever you see? Or would you say that there's a better strategy in terms of who you go for first and who you go for after?
It's generally based on what you have. Let's say you have like a pretty good start. You're enchanted. Let's say you have full prot 3 iron. You have a sharp 2 diamond sword, and you have a bow. For early fights, you want to look for teams that have like less gear, maybe teams that aren't as big. So like maybe like you want to pick like a outnumbered team. So let's say you have 4 teammates, you look for like a 2 team or a 3 team. After you get your first couple kills, you get some healing off of it, because you don't want to get drained while taking your first fight. After you get that, then you start looking for people with diamond armor, maybe legendaries, or even maybe just more people for healing. You just generally don't want to take on like a big fight or a team that has a lot of diamond armor early.
Yeah. So it's like, picking off people that are kind of, how would you say you could split people? How do you, kind of herd people off away from each other? Like, could you, initiate a 1v1? How would you go about that as a new player?
Generally, I'd start by bowing if I have a 1v1. And if they're with their team, I kind of run them around my team until they start splitting off from each other. Because when you're running like 4 people into another 4 people, eventually they split off and start focusing other people.
Yeah.
Then you just try to run in and crit one out in the back, or bow one off from the side and try to isolate a 1v1 like that.
Do you have any tips on surviving till deathmatch if that is the main issue?
If your main issue is surviving to a deathmatch, I think if you're trying to snowball and you're running into issues surviving to a deathmatch, that means you just generally have to take smarter fights. Yeah, you just pretty much have to take smarter fights, or you're just gonna get drained and not have healing, or maybe even die before deathmatch.
And to expand on the concept of a smarter fight, besides splitting people off and taking 1v1s, is there anything else you have to expand on helping the viewer pick those correct fights?
Well, I mean, if you see someone that's like a high star, or you see someone in chat that's getting a lot of kills, maybe you don't want to fight them because they probably have armor, maybe legendaries, maybe a lot of healing.
Right.
So you generally want to pick on people you see that haven't been getting kills, people that you think like you can see them, you're like, oh, they don't have much, things like that. You just don't want to take a fight that you know you can't win. You want to generally go for fights that you have a higher percentage of winning than losing.
Okay, sounds good. Speaking of death matches, what is your main strategy in death matches? I know when we were playing our games, I noticed a lot of similarities in Blitz, and I was able to use the concepts I learned from Blitz survival games and actually apply them and actually win a game that, seemed unwinnable at first because of how much more stacked the other players were. So could you kind of go in from your perspective what Hoplite Gamesense is in death matches before I talk about it myself in regards to Blitz?
Deathmatch Gamesense, it kind of just depends on the situation, because everything in deathmatch is going to be situational.
Yep.
No deathmatch is ever going to be the same. But generally, you want to target the team that just has the most kills, that has the most armor, team that you think has the most healing, without getting drained yourself. Like, you kind of want to force enemy teams to fight each other, kind of run them around into each other, bow heavy, and just look for picks. As I said before, just try to pick one off in the bag. This person's teamed with this really stacked person, so you try to pick off their iron teammates, things like that.
Yeah.
Try to make them a solo.
Yeah, would you say that health and gear are the most valuable assets in deathmatch? Because that's usually what I recommend in Blitz when it comes to deathmatch, is that, you have to view, who has the most healing, who has the most gear, and then try to wear them out so that it becomes more of an even fight. You would say that's the same thing in Hoplite, correct?
Yeah.
If someone, a new player, were to go into deathmatch and they were by far the most stacked person, what would be your advice for them? Since we're always talking about, let other people fight. Since you're the most stacked person, other people are going to do the same to you. What would be your recommendation to someone in that situation?
In Hoplite deathmatches, it's really easy to hide and build up on top of things. If you're the most stacked and you're not looking for kills, you can hide yourself, honestly, because sometimes people might not have the best game sense, so they'll end up fighting each other, and then you can just sit back and claim your free win.
I think that'll be all for the game, and let's get into some personal questions. So my first question I got for you is, how did you get into Hoplite, and what made you fall in love with the game?
I honestly didn't even want to play Hoplite when it first came out.
Wow, really?
My friend Salty, he told me about it, and he was saying like, this is next, because at this point we had already quit I pretty much quit Minecraft at this point. I'd log on to like Skyblock from time to time.
Yeah.
But he was like telling me there's this new server, and we played it, we tried it out. I still wasn't really a big fan, but he was like so convinced, and he was like really enjoying the server, and like
Yeah.
so obviously I was like, I want to play with my friends, so I just slowly started getting into it. But once I started figuring it out, and the voice chat is just really fun. It's just all of it's just fun. It reminds me a lot of Hypixel. Once I got used to it, it just fully reminded me of Hypixel, and I was in love with that game, and then I just fell in love with this game.
You've been playing Hoplite for a while now. What was your favorite milestone, if any?
Definitely when I hit leaderboards. Hitting leaderboards was crazy. I was streaming, and I didn't even realize I was so close because I was just playing a lot. I didn't realize I wasn't going for leaderboards, but then I realized I was like, wait, I'm like 20, 30 wins off. So then I was just grinding every day, just streaming, playing Hoplite. So I finally got it.
Oh, that's awesome, man. What leaderboard did you get on?
I got onto Civilization wins, like lifetime wins, and then I got onto levels and then kills.
Nice. So are you still on all three? This interview is outdated. The answer is yes. So obviously you played a lot of Hoplite, as I just said. Do you have a favorite memory besides hitting leaderboards?
There's a couple clutches I have that were kind of crazy.
Yeah.
There is this one game I'm in a DM it's a 1v1v1, and I almost sold the game completely. I accidentally splashed myself with a weakness potion.
Nah, bro.
But I end up clutching the game on half a heart.
Imagine if you didn't splash that weakness pod, bro, it would have been a loss for you. But hey, made for an intense game. So
yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah. All right, awesome. So my next question is, how has your Twitch content creation journey been, and where do you see yourself in the next year?
Hopefully in the next year. I don't really have a goal for myself per se. I just really I just enjoyed playing the game. I just enjoyed streaming it. I started off, I was just playing Hoplite a lot, and I was like, man, maybe I should stream. I was like, maybe people will watch. I'm like, I was pretty friendly with a lot of players. People were starting to recognize me because I was playing a lot, winning a lot. So I just decided to start streaming one day, and yeah, I don't really know where I see myself in the future. Hopefully still streaming, hopefully a little bit bigger, but it doesn't really matter to me. I just enjoy streaming. People watch.
Yeah. And this is my last question I got for you is, do you play any games besides Hoplite right now?
Yeah, I play so much League of Legends. It's kind of ridiculous. Play a lot of League. I play Valorant. Recently, I've been going crazy on the Elden Ring DLC. Playing a lot of that.
Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for the video.
Yeah, of course. No problem.
Yes, sir.
Thanks
Yes,
for
sir.
having me.
Yeah, of course. All right, that is it. I'll see you guys in the outro.